Good morning to all dear students. Myself Dr. Sandha Chaudhary. Today I will teach you UV visual spectroscopy. In UV visual spectroscopy, I will teach you introduction of UV visual spectroscopy, electromagnetic radiation, absorbance of a solution and absorbance law, Beer-Lambert law, and last content is importance of concentration of the solution. So I'm starting with the introduction of UV visual spectroscopy. It is a branch of science that deals with study of interaction of matter with electromagnetic radiation. Absorption spectrophotometry in the UV and visible region is considered to be one of the oldest physical method used for quantitative analysis and structural elucidation. We know that IR and NMR techniques are mainly used for structural elucidation and qualitative analysis. On the other hand, UV and visible spectrophotometry is mainly used for quantitative analysis and serves as an useful auxiliary tool for structural elucidation. The wavelength of UV radiation starts at the blue end of visible light, about 4000 angstrom, and it ends at 2000 angstrom. However, the wavelength of visible radiation starts at 8000 angstrom and it ends at 4000 angstrom. Spectroscopically, visible acts in the same as UV light. And the next question is raised: why we use UV spectroscopy? Because UV spectroscopy having a important applications like detection of functional group, and we can detect the impurities of the compound, and qualitative and quantitative analysis. In qualitative analysis, UV absorption is particularly useful for identifying functional groups and the structure of molecules containing unsaturated bonds like pi electrons. And but it does not indicate molecular weight or give useful information on saturated bonds like sigma bonds. And in the quantitative analysis, UV absorption is used routinely for the quantitative determination of unsaturated compounds. It is particularly useful at the present level and the 1/10 of a percent level. Using special reagent, it is not generally useful for trace quantitative analysis. The method is subjected to spectral overlap and therefore interferences from other compounds in the sample, and you can also detect single compound without chromophores. So the next content is what is electromagnetic radiation? Electromagnetic radiation is a form of energy that is transmitted through space at an enormous velocity or consists of discrete packages of energy which are called as photons. Electromagnetic radiation requires no supporting media. In fact, it more readily passes in a vacuum than in a supporting medium such as air. In contrast to this, other waves such as sound do require supporting medium. The most obvious example of electromagnetic radiation is light, which occupies only a small region in a spectrum of electromagnetic radiation. And electromagnetic radiation is said to have a dual nature, exhibiting both wave and particle characteristics. This duality is not confined to the visible portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, but it can be demonstrated for the whole region of electromagnetic radiation. Indeed, this duality is useful for the quantitative description of many phenomena. And electromagnetic radiation having some important features like wavelength, frequency, wave number. Firstly, here I am explaining you frequency. The number of wavelength units passing through a given point in unit time is called frequency of a radiation. It is denoted by hertz, and 1 hertz is equal to 1 cycle second inverse. And second important feature is wavelength. It is the distance between two successive maxima on an electromagnetic wave, and you can say that that is distance between two nearest crust or chords. So you can see in the slide, the figure of electromagnetic radiation. You can see that representation, actually it is a representation of electromagnetic wave. So as the name implies, an electromagnetic radiation is an alternating electrical and associated magnetic force field in space. So thus an electromagnetic wave has an electric component and a magnetic component. The two components oscillate in planes perpendicular to each other and perpendicular to the direction of propagation of a radiation. So in the figure, it is a vector presentation. It is a representation of electromagnetic radiation moving along the x-axis. The electric field varies in the direction of y-axis and the corresponding magnetic field varies in the direction of z-axis. So in the most of the cases, the various properties of radiation can be described by changing only the electric vector but in few cases, notably in the discussion of magnetic radiation, it is more convenient to deal with the magnetic vector. The velocity of electromagnetic radiation in vacuum is independent of frequency and has the value of 3 × 10⁸ meter per second. In contrast to other wave phenomena such as sound, however, electromagnetic radiation does not require any supporting medium for its transmission, and it readily passes through vacuum. So this condition we can represent as a property of electromagnetic, and this relationship between wavelength and frequency can be written as C is equal to V lambda, and another condition as photon is, if a photon is subjected to energy, this condition we can written as E is equal to h mu, and we can put the value of C, you can see in the equation. And the next content is absorbance of a solution. For each wavelength of light passing through the spectrometer, the intensity of the light passing through the reference cell is measured. This is usually referred to as I0. Here I stand for intensity. Here I stand for intensity. From the figure, if the intensity of the light passing through the sample cell is also measured for that wavelength, and the given wavelength and the given the sample is I. If I is less than I0, then the sample has absorbed some of the light, and you can neglecting reflection of light of the qubit surface. A sample bit of math is then done in the computer to convert this into something called the absorbance. You can say that this phenomena is called absorbance, which is denoted by the symbol A. And the absorbance of transition depends on two external assumptions. The first one is the absorbance is directly proportional to the concentration C of the solution of the sample used in the experiment, and this condition we can represent as like equation number 1 and equation number 2. A is equal to log 10 I0 upon I. And the second assumption is the absorbance is directly proportional to the length of the light path L, which is equal to the width of the qubit, and this condition you can represent in form of equation A proportional to the L, equation number 3 and 4 and 5. So the value of A is log 10 I0 upon I. So you can write, you can also rewrite is A is equal to epsilon LC in form of equation number 6, and this equation is represented to the Beer's and Lambert law. So that the next content is absorbance law. So what is Beer-Lambert law? You can see in the slide, the first part of this equation is represent the Lambert law, and second part of the equation is represent the Beer-Lambert law. So that the combination of these impression is called Beer-Lambert law. According to the Lambert law, So that here I'm explaining Beer and Lambert law. So if the when light is incident upon a homogeneous medium, a part of the incident is light is reflect, a part is absorbed by the medium, and the remainder is allowed to transmit, such as, so I0 denotes for the incident light and I for reflected light. So according to Lambert law, when a beam of light is allowed to pass through a transparent medium, the rate of decreases of intensity with the thickness of medium is directly proportional to the intensity of the light. And according to the Beer's law, that is, the intensity of a beam of monochromatic light decreases exponentially with the increase in concentration of the absorbing substance, arithmetically and represented by epsilon LC. So the value of epsilon is 0.0376. If it is multiplied by 100, you can get the value of epsilon 3.76 mole inverse centimeter inverse, and it is represent by the Greek letter epsilon in the equation is called the molar absorptivity, or sometimes it is called molar absorption coefficient. The larger the molar if the larger the molar absorptivity, the more probable the electronic transition. In UV spectroscopy, the concentration of the sample solution is measured in mole liter inverse and length of the light path in centimeters. Thus, given that absorbance is unitless, so the units of molar absorptivity are liter mole inverse centimeter inverse. However, the since units of molar absorptivity is always the above. And the last content is, what is the importance of concentration? The proportion of the light absorbed will depend on how many molecules it interacts with. Suppose you have got a strongly colored organic dye. It is in a reasonably concentrated solution. If it will have a very high absorbance, because there are lots of molecules to interact with the light. However, in an incredibly dilute solution, it may be very difficult to see that it is colored at all in solution. The absorbance is going to be very low. Suppose then that you wanted to importance this dye with a different compound, unless you took care to make allowances for the concentration, you could not make any sensible comparison about which one absorbed at most light. You can see in the example the how much is the beam of light is transmitted when it is 8 gram per liter. So for what is the solution for it? Here I mentioned the solution for this condition. We can calculate the value of epsilon, and because we know the value of epsilon is 0.0376, and we can calculate this value according to the Beer-Lambert law. So when we apply the Beer-Lambert law, we calculate the value of log IT is 0.6016, and according to this, the transmitted light, the percentage, we can calculate the percentage of transmitted light around 25% of the solving this problem. So the all above the matter I have taken from instrumental methods of chemical analysis, and I've taken this. You can read UV visible spectroscopy from instrumental methods of chemical analysis, which is written by G.R. Chatwal and S.K. Anand, and you can also consider the Google search. Go with the www UV spectroscopy introduction link. Thank you so much. In the next part of the UV visible spectroscopy, I will explain the other important parameter of this spectroscopy. Thank you so much for watching this lecture.